Well, hello again. It's Todd Conklin with the Distinctive Agent Show, and we're going to talk about listings today. I don't know if anybody knew, but we are in a very competitive market, and so we're going to get really focused on how do we generate more opportunities for listings, and then how do we get them when we're in that competitive situation. So I'm going to dig a little bit deep today. If you have any questions to follow up, please don't hesitate. Drop a comment, shoot me a DM, pick up the phone, whatever. But I want to first start on generating opportunities for listings. So there's a bunch of different ways. Most of them are old school. I'm going to put a little modern twist to them, but most of them are old school. And the reason they're old school is because they're time tested. They're true. They've stood the test of time in all types of markets. The market, as it is today, is back to what we would consider more normal markets. Like the 3 years post COVID, they weren't normal. You really didn't need to do much to get these listings, to get these buyers. And so what happened is we ended up doing a lot of things that we didn't really know if they worked or not. Well, they didn't work. And now we're all probably going, all right, well, we got to get back to what does work. So let's get started. The first one is what we call an unsolicited asset valuation. Yes, I know, it's a CMA, but we don't want to call them CMA because the vast majority of the public has no idea what our alphabets are. This is an asset valuation. For most people, their homes are the most expensive, the highest value asset that they own. And so we are helping them understand the asset. I am one of those people that I don't like making connection with people for just no reason, just to say, hey, listen, I just want to give you a valuation of your home. I want a story behind it. I want to explain why this is important to them. So what I will typically do is I will find a reason to make those phone calls. I love January and February because most people buy their homes, they go out and get their insurance policies that protect them against, fire and flood and that kind of thing. And then they never update them again. And unless you've got a great insurance agency or agent, what happens is as the time goes on and the value of your home changes, in this case, over the last 5 years, let's say, homes have gone up considerably. And if we have not updated our insurance coverage, God forbid something bad happen, you know what would happen? Well, they will only insure you for what you originally valued the property, what you originally bought insurance for. Well, hey, listen, folks, if you bought a home for $400,000 5 years ago and today it's worth $650,000, which is totally normal, well, guess what? You're only going to get insurance coverage up to the $400,000. That would be a tragedy. And I love the idea of being that value to the customer. And so I'm calling people. Now, listen, here's the great news. I can call anybody. Certainly, you should start with your past clients and your sphere of influence, and that's the biggest no-brainer ever. But I can also do this for neighborhoods and a demographic, and not just a geographic, and so on. I can also do that in those areas that get tax assessed values, depending on when those are coming out. So I'll give you an Idaho, for example. In Idaho, the values come out in May. So I might start making those phone calls in April. And that conversation is going to go something along the lines of, hey, be on the lookout for a tax assessor's value of your property. That value that they come up with will be the way they determine the amount of taxes you pay. So it's very important. Now, if you get that value and you like the value because it's low, and that means you're going to be paying lower in taxes, fantastic, congratulations. If, on the other hand, you think it's high, that's going to have you pay too much in the way of taxes. You don't want that. And so you're going to want an expert value of the home. I'm happy to do that. And frankly, I'm probably happy to do it right now in advance if that would be helpful to you. There is a process to go through in order to object to the value the assessor has come up with, and I will help you through it. I have the forms, I have the websites, etc. See, those are really great ways to do asset valuations. All right, next one on my list is expireds. So before we get started on this, I have a lot of people that say, hey, listen, I don't like calling expireds. Everybody's calling the expireds. I need to squash that. Y'all, no one's calling. No one is calling these people because they're all saying the same thing. Oh, everybody's calling. I don't want to be like the 400th person. When I called expireds, my opening line was, hey, I'm sure I'm the 15th phone call that you got today. I just wanted to find out if you are still interested in selling your home. And every single time they would say, actually, nobody's called me today. That's huge. So I just need you to know, no one's calling. The second part that you need to know is we are salespeople, which means that if you have somebody that wants to buy or sell a home, our job is to help them do it. Well, these people have raised their hand and said, we want to sell our home for a variety of reasons, but they've said they want to sell their home. They put it on the market. They went to the trouble of hiring an agent. They got it all dolled up. They went through the pain and suffering of doing showings. These are committed people. Your opportunity here is to solve their problem. That's it. All right. And we've got tons of scripts and dialogues. So if you want some scripts and dialogues specifically around what you need to say and how you say it that actually makes sense for expireds, shoot me a DM and I'll get those to you. The third one on my list is orphaned neighborhoods. Boy, I love this one. Orphaned neighborhood think about all of those new developments. They could be 2, 3, 4 years old. They're probably all sold out. But what happens is that the agents or the company that was representing that neighborhood, they move on. They don't maintain the relationship. So they sold all of these homes and then they go away. And that's an incredible opportunity for you to come in and adopt those neighborhoods as yours. That's huge. So whether that be through door knocking and events, and we're going to talk about some different strategies here that will all apply, but identify what those are. I promise you, some of those people are moving, and as they age, more and more will move, right? But right now, just because somebody bought a home 2, 3 years ago doesn't mean that they're not selling. People have life changes that happen. So adopt an orphan neighborhood. All right, I want to dig into farming for 1 second because farming is one of those old schools, but we're going to put a modern twist to it. I think most of the time people think of farming as just sending some mail. That's not it, okay? It's part of it, but that's not it. Mail now, yes, it's going to work even more right now because while the market shifts, one of the crazy things that happens from an agent perspective is they claw back all of their ad spend. Well, over the last 3 years, there's been a sea of competitors, and so they're getting lots and lots of mail, and a lot of that just ended up in the round file, and that's just not how they picked an agent. But now that people are stopping that expenditure, now's a great time for you to stand out in a sea of real estate agents. So send the mail, but I want you to do me a favor. I want you to add something to it. Add a QR code to it so that people can go someplace and get something of value and you can track that. Do something like a from your friends where you're giving a discount to a local business or maybe a restaurant or something in a way that you can track that. Or maybe consider doing a mailing that revolves around a charitable drive of some sort. I think of Coats for Kids, right? In that August, September time period where you say, hey, listen, I'm going to do this coat drive. If you have a coat, just text this number or text coats to this number and I'll come by and pick up the coats. You don't have to do anything. So something like that, or a food drive, that kind of thing. But mail has its place in a farm. It's just not the only thing. Now, what's left in farming? Well, there's door knocking, and I'm going to give you a series of reasons to knock on people's doors because, again, I don't like cold calls. I don't like doing, where I'm talking to somebody and it's awkward, right? So I like taking the awkward out. I like giving first, giving second, giving third, and have them know me as the trusted source, as the knowledge broker, as the person that cares in the marketplace. All right, makes sense? Hopefully that lands for you. All right, so what is that? Well, I'm going to knock on the doors, and one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, listen, I have a potential property that I might be bringing onto the market here in this neighborhood, and before I go on that listing appointment, I thought I would go around to the neighbors and I would just ask them, what do you love about your neighborhood? And that's again, I'm just asking for what do you love about your neighborhood, and I'm compiling information around it. The other one would be coming soon. So coming soon would be, hey, listen, I've got the listing agreement. It's going to come out. I'm going to launch it on Thursday because I follow my launch process. And maybe it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and I'm knocking on doors saying, hey, listen, it's coming on the market. I just want to let you know. I like the public service announcement on that. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, it's coming on the market. It'll go live on Friday morning. Chances are there's going to be people driving up and down the street. I just wanted to let you know, here's my card. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, please do not hesitate to give me a call. Hey, by the way, would you like the full package on the listing? Right? So that's a coming soon. Just listed, kind of the same theory. Right? The property's now on the market. When it comes to the open house, I like the private viewing period. So what I'm doing is I'm going around and I'm knocking on doors and saying, hey, listen, I just listed 123 Elm Street, just down the street, and I'm going to be doing an open house on Saturday afternoon from 1 to 5. But what I wanted to do is to let you know that I've got a private viewing period for neighbors only from 11:30 to 1. Would love for you to come by and take a look at it. Would love to get your impression of the price that we pick. And obviously the price that it sells will have a significant impact on the value of your home. So it's important for us to get the input from the neighborhood. Love that, right? Again, I'm not selling them anything. I'm giving them information. I can do the same thing if there's a price change, because I can then go to the doors and say, hey, we had an open house. We heard loud and clear. We needed to make an adjustment to the price. So we've done that. We are expecting many more showings. We're expecting some offers. If you know anybody, all right? And again, I love in my experience, people that live in a neighborhood, that love a neighborhood, know other people that would like to live and love in this neighborhood. Do you know anybody? Then we get into the pending. Once the property goes pending, I'm knocking on those doors again. And I'm saying, hey, good news. We sold the Johnson's house, which is a really exciting thing. And that property is scheduled to close in the next couple of months. Of course, as you know, we did these 12 things for marketing. We ended up with 17 showings, 7 offers, whatever, right? I did these 17 things. I've got 25 showings, etc. And so you're telling the story, and then you're saying, but I ended up with a bunch of buyers that missed out. These were qualified buyers, and obviously the property can only be purchased by one person. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm going out and I'm identifying if there are any other people in the neighborhood that might be interested in selling. That's a script. Do you know anybody? By the way, before I leave, the closing price is going to have an impact on the value of your home. When that closes, would you like me to share that information with you? Yes. And I'm taking down their information. Again, I would much rather be able to pick up the phone and call somebody's cell phone and have this conversation, right? Okay. And then the same thing with the close. Hey, listen, some buyers missed out. It was a huge success for the Johnsons, but now I've got to go out and I've got to find somebody else that is interested in selling so that these buyers that missed out can move into the neighborhood. Do you know anybody? And before I forget, this had a significant impact on the value of your home. I'd like to give you a no strings attached updated value of the new value of your home, right? All right, and then neighborhood events are always great, especially as you begin to build more and more business in that neighborhood. Plan on 1 or 2 a year where, it could be something as simple as an ice cream social if it's a family neighborhood, bouncy house kind of thing. If it's maybe a more adult neighborhood, maybe it's a taco truck, or maybe you end up doing a listing and you can do some kind of a, burgers and beers or tacos and tequila or something like that at the home that you list. All right. And then the last one on farming would be to use Facebook. Yes, Facebook. Facebook groups are a great way to build community. And if you host the private Facebook group, and as part of your farming strategy is you're inviting people to be part of it, and you're posting different things. I mean, think of like the app Nextdoor, right? But you become Nextdoor through Facebook groups. And now when people are asking, hey, do you know of a good painter? Boom, you're on it, right? When a property is coming on the market, boom, you can share it on there. If somebody's lost their cat, like there's some engagement there. So love those. All right, for sale by owners, y'all, folks, for sale by owners are huge. No one's calling them either. Uh, they need your help. They need you. So pick up the phone, have a conversation with them. Again, there's a bunch of scripts and dialogues. I'm happy to share those with you. You just need to ask, okay? So DM me. I'm happy to share with you our scripts and dialogues around for sale by owners. Mega open house strategy, another really big listing. Yes, listing generator. Most people are doing their mega open house strategy or any kind of an open house with the idea that they're going to get buyers. And yes, you're going to get buyer leads, but that's not really the focus of a mega open house. The mega open house focus is to get you more opportunities for listings in that marketplace. Think of it as an audition for all of the people in the marketplace. Statistically speaking, there are 3 or 4 other homeowners in the neighborhood that are considering making a move. Think about that. So this is your audition. So doing it properly matters. I have a checklist. It's a 10-day checklist for mega open house strategy. Again, if you want that, DM me, open house, I'll send that to you. Another way to generate listings, sphere of influence, past clients, of course. But again, what I find is most people just aren't making the phone calls, or if they are making the phone calls, they're not doing them with the right intention, or they don't know what to say. So I'm going to go through just a few. Again, we can dig deep on these, but I'm going to try not to. The idea here is to give. Give. How can I help? Give. You should be connecting with your past clients and sphere of influence. Please don't hate me, but you should be connecting with them 12 times a year. That's every 30 days. So do the math. How many people that do you really know? Maybe that's part of the problem. If you say, oh, I've got 1,000 people, well, you may have 1,000 people in your database, but you don't have 1,000 sphere of influence, okay? So you got to carve that down and sort it out, but you should be calling them every month. I like the home value for insurance. We talked about that one earlier. I like the reverse pop buys for Valentine's. I like the spring clean checklist that comes with my preferred vendor list. These are all the best vendors. They've all been checked out, used. They're my trusted ones. Everybody wants that, by the way. I love the tax assessor's assessment. That's a public service announcement. I'm here to assist. That can be done in all kinds of different markets, right? But we're talking past client sphere of influence. Of course, there's events. You should be doing at minimum 2 events per year, but really that should be 4. One of those is your local office event, and so you're participating with that. And then, of course, you can do the same thing that you did with the spring checklist. Do it for the fall. Do it for the fall. Hey, it's fall time. If we miss some things on the fall checklist, it could have a negative impact on the value of somebody's home. So this is an important thing. And then again, give your preferred vendors list. And then of course, there's the reverse pop buy with pies in October, November. That's a really great strategy. But again, don't do pop buys, do reverse pop buys. All right, so there's some on the past client sphere of influence. And how about I have a buyer? Emails and letters. I have a buyer. I have a buyer looking specifically in your neighborhood. And be detailed in your letters and emails. I mean, don't just do hey, I have a buyer looking in your neighborhood. Tell about the buyer. If you don't have a buyer, find somebody in your office that has a buyer. But be detailed and tell the story. You know, it's a young couple. They've got 2 kids. They really like this area. They love the school district, whatever, right? But be detailed about who it is, and that you've got these folks really want to live in this neighborhood. They've identified specifically this neighborhood. And if you know anybody, or if you've ever had any thoughts of selling, would you please reach out to me? Now, don't say how many bedrooms and baths you want, because you're going to be sending these out to the entire neighborhood in your entire database, for example. And so if you say they need 3 bedrooms and they have 5 bedrooms, they're not going to call you. And yet they might be a seller. Same thing for circle dialing. We talked about the email and letter, but you can also use our technology that will provide you with phone numbers. Obviously, you want to make sure that they're not on the do not call list, but you use that technology and then you make your phone calls. Hey, they want to be in your neighborhood. Have you ever had any thoughts of selling? Now, listen, some people are going to be like, I don't really know. And so the follow-up question to that is, well, let me ask you a different question then. Are you living in your dream home? Well, what is your dream home? And what would you need to get for this home to get your dream home? I told a story when I was up in Montana this last week about a personal experience that I had where I had been knocking on a door that was in my own personal neighborhood. Excuse me. And I came across somebody who had a beautiful, like right out of Ralph Lauren, little log cabin. And it was just as charming as possibly could be. And I used this conversation. I had somebody specifically that wanted to be in the neighborhood. Well, God, we really like our place. Well, what's not to like? I said, well, let me ask you a question. Is this your dream home? And he goes, Todd, honestly, this is our dream home, but it's not in the right spot. Our absolute dream is if we could pick up this home and move it to the water. Like if we could be on the river, that would be it. And so do you know what I did? I went out and I knocked on every log cabin that was in that general vicinity that was on the river. And I ended up finding somebody who wanted to sell their property. And so I had them sell it. And I ended up with 3 transactions as a result of it. So boy, I'm gonna tell you, that one works. All right, so there's a bunch of ways for you to generate leads for listings. But we're in a competitive market. And there are other people that are out there jockeying for position to get those listings. We have to be really good at our process. So I want to make sure that I go through some of the low-hanging fruit when it comes to getting a listing, winning a listing in a competitive environment. All right. So first things first, I want to make sure that you're doing your interview. See, when somebody calls you or you call them and they say, yes, why don't you come on down? Let's have a conversation or let's meet and talk about the listing. You have to follow your process. There is a proven process, and the first step of that proven process is to do the interview. It's just a one-page, I think there's 11 or 12 questions on the page. Again, if you want the seller interview, DM me, I'll send you that. But it gives you everything that you need to know in advance of you showing up. Y'all, that is absolute gold. If you go in cold, there's no differentiation. You don't want to go in cold. Okay. Send value in advance. Send value in advance. If that's a pre-listing package for you, fantastic. If that's a series of emails that you send, maybe they're videos like this, right? Or an audio like this, where you're sending something to them to say, this is the typical process that you can expect in selling your home. Just give them value in advance, all right? Now, before you go on your listing appointment, which your first listing appointment will be at the location, so it's on site. Before you do that, I want you to consider sending an email to your entire database that says, hey, listen, I might be listing a home in this general vicinity neighborhood, all right? It's approximately 3 bedrooms. It's a single level home. And if you would like any information about this, like first chance kind of thing, would you send me, just reply back to this email. You don't want to give them any more information, okay? You don't want to give them the price. You don't want to give them any address. You just want people to respond to you. Because when you go to that meeting and that listing appointment, now you get to say, hey, listen, just so you know, I have 7 people that have said, hey, if you find this home that's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in this general vicinity in a single level, please tell us about it. So I think I might already have 7 people, because a lot of my competitors are going to come in and say, oh yeah, I think I know somebody, but I already have them. Like they've already responded. I already reached out and had some conversations, right? I think that's a game changer. The other thing before you go to the listing appointment is to knock on some doors. And the way that script it goes is, hi, my name's Todd Conklin. I'm with Coldwell Banker. I actually have a listing appointment in the neighborhood later this afternoon, tomorrow, whatever. And the reason I'm coming to you is part of my marketing. I just wanted to find out what the neighbors love about the neighborhood. Can you share with me, what is the one thing that you love most about this neighborhood? I'm not selling y'all. I'm getting great information because I'm going to be able to weave that into my marketing strategy. And what do you think the seller is going to say when I say, well, I went out and I talked to 50 of your neighbors, and here were the things that they loved about the neighborhood. Does this fall in line with what you think? This is how I'm going to do my marketing of your property. Pretty powerful stuff. Now, before I leave the neighbors, I'm going to say, by the way, if I get this listing, do you want to know about it? If I get this new listing, would you like to hear about it? And if they say, yeah, of course, then you get their information, email address, phone number, etc. And then of course, you're going to follow up. But now you're building your list. All right, I'm not going to talk anymore about that. I am one of those people who believes that less is more when it comes to the listing presentation. I've done them both. I've done the long ones. I've done the flip charts. I've done the digital. I've done it all. I really believe that that is what everybody else is doing. And so I kind of err on the side of, I'm going to provide a pre-listing package, which really is going to have what we would consider a more traditional listing presentation in it, bound, beautiful book. And then I'm going to come in and my first visit is going to be sitting down, having a conversation, talking about the pre-listing book, asking if they had any questions as a result of that. And then that's the rapport building time. And then we're going to take a stroll. We're going to take a stroll through the property. I'm going to have a piece of paper, like I'm going to have a pad, be taking notes. Don't be one of those servers, waiters or waitresses that don't take notes. That's not it. That's not what we want here. You want to take great notes because this, again, is going to be part of how you're going to position the property. It's also going to be how you're going to be able to come up with a pricing of the property. All right? Okay, so now my second appointment is going to be back in my office. Back in my office, we're going to get really detailed. I love the short strategy. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I do a lot of I represent a lot of sellers, and there really are 5 things every seller asks me before they list their property with me. Would you mind if I shared those with you? That's it. What are they? Well, they're the price. They're what am I going to do for marketing? How much time is this going to take? What are you going to charge for your commission? And have you ever done this before? That's really the top 5 things that you get asked on every single listing appointment. So let's talk a little bit about that, shall we? I love the they, them, me framework for any of these. Well, what does that mean? Well, we're talking about your market knowledge. You need to know what's going on in your market. You need to know maybe it's a national data point, and you need to know what your competitors do. And then, of course, you need to know your numbers. Your numbers, right? So the average would be them. Remember what I said, that the framework. The average would be them, right? I wrote some numbers up on the board here, right? So the average real estate agent does 5 transactions. Okay, great. That firm that you are also interviewing for this, right? I put some up there. These are all numbers, by the way, that I just got from the internet. That I haven't corroborated them, but they're all from their websites and or through Swanepoel or Real Trends that say, hey, listen, the average real estate agent in the US does 5 transactions. The average from KW was 7, Real was 4, EXP was 4, and a brand new startup company, but called LPT, that's in a couple of our markets, is 1.2, right? And then, but Coldwell Banker Distinctive Properties is 13. That's the me, right? They, them, me. So if, and by the way, if you're a newer agent and your number isn't very high, then you would use the company's number. If you're a more experienced agent, maybe you're doing 25 transactions, well, you would use your number, not the company's number. Follow? Right? So the average agent is 5 transactions. That agent at LPT is 1.2 transactions, but I did 25 transactions. That's a powerful thing, and we've got scripts and dialogues around that too, but I just want to make sure that you understand the framework. All right? pricing, Coldwell Banker price premium is 12% nationwide. That is a Coldwell Banker stat that the average home sold by a professional with Coldwell Banker is sold on average for 12% more. That's a huge data point. Huge. Brand truly matters. Truly matters. Now, you can do the same thing in your marketplace if you know your average sales price compared to the average agent sales price versus the average sales price of the person or company that you're competing with, right? So again, they, them, me. Let's see. How about number of transactions? Let's do that one for a second. So some of you are in traditional markets, and I'm going to talk for a second about the high-end market, but I want you to hear it really well, even if you're in a traditional market, because traditional has luxury in it, number one, and every, what I would call normal home, traditional property owner wants to be treated the absolute best they possibly can. And the idea that just because I have a $300,000 home, I'm not going to be treated as well as a $600,000 home kind of drives me crazy. And so we don't do it that way, all right? So from a global luxury standpoint, this is just a Coldwell Banker global luxury. We do over 48,000 transactions a year that are listed at over $1 million. That's not all transactions. Then we'd be talking about hundreds of thousands. I'm talking about just $1 million or more. Y'all, that's more transactions, period, than some of the companies that I have listed up here. Okay? So it's a huge data point. And what the message that we're sending to the client of whatever, we bring that level of service and marketing to all of our customers. That's a powerful statement. All right, let's talk about for sale by owner. If I'm going to be talking to a for sale by owner, again, this is going to get a little bit competitive. Probably, at least I'm competing with the owner. A for sale by owner on average sells for $310,000 versus a property represented by a real estate professional sells for $405,000. Well, y'all, that's $95,000. $95,000. So it makes perfect financial sense to use a professional. In fact, I'll make net $55,000 to $60,000 more dollars by doing it that way. Now that is something I can sell. Marketing packages. The average agent takes a listing, puts it on the MLS, maybe they send out some postcards. That's the average. You know which of the companies actually have a marketing team and which don't, but 98% of them don't. They have somebody who answers the phone, cuts commission checks, does lock boxes, and also does marketing on the side. Well, your organization has an entire team of marketing professionals. Well, they're just built different. And if you can tell that they, them, me story to be able to say, hey, listen, I have a team of marketing professionals. To give you some context, the average marketing package generates 18 leads. That's just average, right? Okay. Next one, buyer profile. Y'all, you have the technology through Coldwell Banker to actually identify specifically where people are coming from and what their demographic data is. So I can target specific zip codes and areas and age and demographic, but whatever, specifically for the property. Now, last I checked, if you target more of the right people, you drive up the price and you drive down the time on market. That's a very powerful message. Again, framing it, they, them, and me. You're part of a huge company, a huge brand that has access to things that, frankly, most people just don't have. You also have in-house counsel. That's a huge one. I would say 99% of brokerages in the marketplace don't have in-house counsel. Period. I'm just going to leave it at that. Having in-house counsel helps sticky situations get done much faster and get to the closing table. Period. Very, very high value. Another idea would be to map it. And what I mean by mapping it, this works for whether or not you're long time in the business or not. If it's you and you've dominated a neighborhood, as an example, run a report of all of the homes that you've sold. If you're newer to the business or this is a new geographic market for you, run a report or have your agent concierge run a report of all of the homes that the company has sold over the last 10 years in that market. And then create a one-page map and you drop pins that show all of the properties that you and or your company has sold in that area. Remember, they want to know, have you done this before? All right, and my last one is commissions. Listen, commissions are a big deal. In the absence of value, the only thing people have to negotiate is the price. So hopefully you have created so much value in your presentation and your process that this isn't even an issue. But of course, there's always somebody that's going to do it for cheaper than you. And if it was just price, you'd have no business. You follow what I'm saying? There's always somebody that will do it cheaper than you. There's somebody out there, frankly, that will do it for free. We see it in everything we do, right? Whether it be cars or homes, not all homes are priced the same way. Whether it be brokerages, there's always a brokerage that will tell you that they can do the same thing for less. And yet we know it's not true. So you should not expect anything different in a competitive situation. You're going to have people that are going to be telling the seller that they can do everything that you can, but you are going to spell it out and you're going to do it in such an incredibly professional way that this probably isn't going to come up. But if it does, my recommendation to you is to give options. I love giving choices, okay? So here would be an example. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've got 4 options. My option number 1 is a 5.5% commission. And what we do is we have professional photography done because, hey, listen, that's super important. And then we're going to do like the average agent. We're going to put it on the MLS and that's going to send out to some websites and the other agents are going to see it, okay? And then, of course, I'm going to still be here at the showings and blah, 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 blah. Or what we could do is we could do a 6% where I'm going to do a CB1 marketing package and here's everything that it has and it comes with its own private website and there's some geographic mailings that happen and syndication and of course I'm going to do an open house, etc. Or I could do a 6.5% commission by doing a CB2 and a CB2 is going to have these 27 things and I go through all of those. And then of course lastly for a CB3 which has these 47 things, I charge 7%. Which would you like to do? And sit back and wait for them to speak. That's sales. All right, y'all. So what we did in a competitive market, it's really important for us to get listings. We all know it. We've got to generate the listings first. I gave you a bunch of different ways to generate listing leads. But then once you've got the lead, you've got to make sure that you win the listing when you're in that competitive environment. And we went through all of those. I hope this was hugely valuable for you. If it was valuable for you, will you do me a favor? Leave a comment below, shoot me a DM, something, and tell me I did a good job. If it didn't, don't worry about it. My feelings won't be hurt. But if, as I mentioned before, if there was anything in there that you would like some additional information on, just DM me. Text me if you have my cell number. If you have any questions ever, I'm going to give you my cell number. It's 208-720-5326. If there's an agent that you know that you think could benefit by watching this video, send it to them. All right, you guys, have a great day. And as always, be distinctive.